Okay. So, hello everyone. Edith Mecha, Atlas Cup Fellow from Kenya, and today I'm going to talk about breaking the silence about a topic that is really embarrassing to talk from maybe many continents. Many people are very shy to talk about it, but it's really something that is affecting a lot of people. So I'm going to look at how we can use communication to alleviate gender-based violence among vulnerable populations. So by show of hands, I know it can be really very sensitive, but this is really a global issue that is affecting a lot of people. So by show of hands, how many have been affected or know somebody who's been affected by gender-based violence? And by gender-based violence, I mean it can be physical, emotional, sexual, economical, psychological. Yeah, clearly each one of us has been affected. And so like this is an issue that we need to like start talking about it. So according to the UN like statistics, like one of the key things that they keep on talking about is that 1 out of 3 women in their lifetime, they will face gender-based violence. And something that is really disturbing is that you find that this violence is usually propagated by somebody. It can even be a family member, like it can even be a sibling, a father, like a father doing harm to the daughter. It can even be like a colleague at work. It can even be like a total stranger. So like it's really frustrating and like disturbing. And so we really need to come up with interventions. We really need to talk about it as much as possible. So I'm going to give examples about organizations in Kenya, where I come from, about some of interventions around communication that they have been able to apply in order to combat this problem. So back in Kenya, so there's this organization called Coexist Kenya. So it was formed with this mission of using advocacy to be able to advocacy as a way to create awareness about gender-based violence. And one of the key things about gender-based violence, it's something that is like rooted against gender. Like for instance, you find because of imbalance in power dynamics, like people don't respect women. So this organization called Coexist Kenya. So the founder, the mission he had, or the objective, was to use men to be the agents of bringing change, to be the agents of like being able to address attitudes, beliefs, or values. So like now he is using like men and young boys to be able to advocate for respect for women, and even like respect for women and even like valuing women. So this has really been effective, and then like we have seen like some changes in terms of the way men are able to look at women, though it's not something that has really achieved a lot of progress, but slowly by slowly we are seeing some light at the end of the day. And then, of course, Coexist Kenya has also like been able to use like social media as a way to be able to come up with like hashtags, like especially when we have an occasion whereby somebody like a husband has beat the wife, and then the wife has been taken to hospital. Like they have been able to come up with hashtags that have been able to make people to engage, like create a lot of public discourse about it, and like fight for justice for this woman who has been abused. So social media is one of the ways that we can be able to teach people on using social media to start discussions that look at the way, like discussions that promote changing our attitude, creating awareness about the effects of gender-based violence. The other way that communication can be applied, and something that I've seen in different other organizations, is like making sure the website, because like I think each and every person like all over the world, like everybody knows how to use internet. Like there's internet, everybody knows how to use the website to search for information. So website is also one of an effective tool as a communication approach, making sure that the website is easily accessible, especially for like easily accessible so that it is inclusive of visually impaired people who are the vulnerable population. Make sure like the visually impaired can be able to check the website for resources. Like in case somebody goes through violence, you know, like you can go and check through and know where you can seek for assistance. Another way that the website can be useful tool is to ensure that your website maybe should be able to be translated into different languages, so that, for instance, if somebody is a Spanish speaker, they can be able to like access the resources in Spanish, they can be able to access the resources in Portuguese, they can be able to access the resources in French. So like websites is really a powerful like communication tool that can be used to combat gender-based violence. And then of course, another thing is advocating, making sure that we bring aboard all actors, including the government, civic space actors, and even people like organizations that are dealing with issues to do with gender. Make sure that we have discussions with them so that they can understand how they can be able to advocate to have curricula that includes discussions around gender, respect for girls, respect for all groups of people, so that we can be able to grow a generation of people from a younger age that have respect for women and also the vulnerable populations. So these are just a few ways that communication can be very effective in addressing this big issue. There are so many other ways, but I think if we continue like right now, like we are all here, global change leaders, so it's actually a call to action, because one way that we can address this issue is if we have collective action, both men and women. So both men and women today at this Global Pathfinder Summit, so it's a call to action. Let's all join hands together, because this is an issue clearly that affects all of us. So let's join hands and be ambassadors of advocating for respect for all people and looking for better solutions to address anger, because most times you find like sometimes abuse is perpetrated because someone feels like the other person is powerless, or maybe they have annoyed him or something. So like, let's be ambassadors and let's carry that message out there. Thank you.